Welcome back to Marvel Maniac and MCU Aftershow. I'm your host, Eric Cicada, aka Mr. Honest. Today, we're shining the spotlight on the unsung heroes of the MCU. No, not the Avengers, not the main villains, but the one-scene wonders, those characters who showed up for a single moment, dropped a line, and somehow became unforgettable. The MCU isn't just built on Tony Stark and Captain America, it's built on texture. It's built on side characters that make the world feel alive, funny, and sometimes even heartbreaking. So, let's celebrate the one-scene wonders of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The rules aren't super strict, very short appearances. Some of them may appear in other movies. Some of them may appear literally in more than one scene, but not too much time on screen. The window of which I'm accepting these as part of this list is a little bit open, but I still definitely have standards on if they're in more than 3 scenes, they're not allowed to be in it. So it's going to be a little bit of a variety. Let's start with Captain America Civil War. At MIT, towards the beginning of the film, Tony Stark is confronted after a speaking event by Miriam Sharpe, a grieving mother. She tells him her son was killed in Sokovia during Ultron's attack. That one conversation, the guilt she lays on Tony, it changes the whole trajectory, even of the whole MCU. Tony, rattled by guilt, throws himself behind the Sokovia Accords. Without Miriam Sharpe, there really is no Civil War. There's no Avengers split. It's just one scene, one woman, and the Avengers are never the same again. Next up, the old man in Stuttgart, who stands up to Loki in the original Avengers. Loki declares himself ruler. The man refuses to kneel, and Loki sneers, "There are no men like me." And the man replies, "There are always men like you." Chills. In one line, he connects Loki to every tyrant in history. He reminds us why the Avengers exist in the first place, to push back against that kind of evil. This guy is so standout, I could see him in my mind delivering this line. It's one of the most powerful one-scene wonders, in my opinion, because it's just this normal older man standing up to a god, and he nearly gets made an example of by Loki if Captain America didn't show up just at the right time. Then we have Jonathan Pangborn in Doctor Strange. This is the man who walked again after being paralyzed using mystic arts instead of medicine. Strange, still clinging to science, tells him this is impossible. Pangborn is the proof that Doctor Strange is wrong. Along with Pangborn, we have the actual physical therapist that probably made up one of the funnier scenes of Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange needs proof from this guy, and the guy's like, "I'll take me a while to pull up the file, but it'll be good to prove you wrong." I just love the interactions. Doctor Strange, the original Doctor Strange is such a great movie. Jonathan Pangborn is not a hero or a villain, but without him, Strange never goes on his journey. That is a one-scene wonder. Now for comedy gold. Zach Cherry, a.k.a. Do a Flip, the guy from Spider-Man Homecoming. Spider-Man swings by and he yells, "Hey, Spider-Man, do a flip." And Peter obliges. The crowd cheers. Then, years later, same guy, different city, he's recording Shang-Chi's bus fight, live streaming it. Marvel didn't have to make that connection, but they did. And suddenly, a random civilian becomes a reoccurring thread that makes the universe feel lived in. I'd still consider him a one-scene wonder because in both scenes in each movie, he is in that single scene. The bus fight maybe a little bit more often. But like I said, this door is pretty wide, and it is in the same essence of the other appearances. Let's move to Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. It gave us another great civilian moment, and maybe one of the funniest moments in the whole movie. An older man spots Scott Lang, and he shouts, well, it's in his coffee shop, and he says, "Thank you, Spider-Man." It cracked me up in theaters, even though it was in the preview. It's quick, it's funny, and it shows us how the public actually sees these heroes as like a blur of costumes and names. Not perfect, not reverent, just human. And I did go on to find out that man said, "Thank you, Spider-Man." He was actually supposed to say Ant-Man, but he actually did mix the two up IRL. That is just hilarious. Now, moving to Iron Man 2, do you remember the little boy at the Stark Expo in Iron Man 2? He puts on an Iron Man mask and raises his toy blaster at a drone. Tony swoops in just at the perfect moment and blasts the drone and says, "Nice work, kid." Years later, Marvel actually retconned that kid to be young Peter Parker. For real. Whether that was always planned, I don't think so, but or just probably more of a clever move. It retroactively turned a one-scene wonder into Spider-Man's first brush with Iron Man, and that's the MCU magic at work. Moving forward, Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, gave us Korath the Pursuer, played by Djimon Hounsou. Star-Lord sorry for butchering that name. Star-Lord tries to make an epic entrance saying, "I'm Star-Lord," and Korath deadpans, "Who?" That's usually like the gif that plays in my mind when a specific type of moment that relates to that always happens. It's so funny, very well delivered. That one word became a meme, and Korath went from generic villain to fan favorite. He even shows up again in Captain Marvel. A little bit bigger of a part, not huge, but it cements his place as more than just one throwaway bad guy. I'd say in this scene in Guardians of the Galaxy, he truly was a wonder. And who could forget the Galaga guy? Yes. Tony Stark walking around the helicarrier calls out a random S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. "That man is playing Galaga." He thought we wouldn't notice, but we did. It's one of the best throwaway lines in the movie. And one joke, 1 second of screen time, and boom, it's just instant fandom legend. And that is peak Marvel humor. And if I'm not correct, I might be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure that Tony Stark improvised that line. And then they actually show him playing Galaga at the end of the scene, so it's really well done. Of course, next we can't skip the old lady on the train, or was it a bus, in Captain Marvel. Carol senses she's a Skrull in disguise, and before anyone else understands, she punches her square in the face. The reactions from the passengers are priceless, half horrified, half confused. Even the look on her face is pretty funny, the lady who gets punched. And out of context, it looks like Carol has gone completely rogue. In context, it's one of the funniest one-scene reveals Marvel has ever done. A more serious one-scene wonder would be N'Jobu, Killmonger's father, played by Sterling K. Brown, a great actor in Black Panther. He only appears in the Oakland prologue, but his death defines everything. Killmonger's pain, his rage, his entire worldview, it all begins with that moment. Without N'Jobu's story, there's no Killmonger as we know him. And into another funny one. That's what I love about these. There's funny ones, and then there's serious ones. Iron Man 3 gave us the tattoo guy in the news van. The Stark superfan with a goatee and an Iron Man tattoo. He's awkward and he's funny and also kind of unsettling, let's be real. But he makes a point. Tony Stark isn't just a hero, he's a brand. And people idolize him so much, even inside the MCU, as well as out. They ink him on their skin. That's world building. Now, how could we forget Pizza Poppa? Pizza Poppa. Bruce Campbell and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. He hassles Strange over a pizza ball, and Strange hexes him into punching himself repeatedly. We all sat through the credits just to see the gag at the end where Campbell, looking at the camera, saying, "It's over," breaking the fourth wall. Raimi fans ate it up. Classic one-scene wonder. And even though it was a post-credit scene and the one scene with Doctor Strange, it still passes as a one-scene wonder for me. And last, before we wrap up, I have one more. I have to mention Peter Dinklage's appearance in Avengers Infinity War as Eitri, the Dwarf King. Now, I know it's technically more than one scene, but it's still one appearance in the entire MCU. Except for What If. We see him in one episode of that too. But it was a great appearance, and very powerful too. He's the last of his kind, forced by Thanos to forge the Infinity Gauntlet. The scale of the forge, the weight of his performance, it adds this almost mythic layer to the movie. And it's unforgettable. And adding him to the movie wasn't strange at all. It was pretty honestly awesome to see Peter Dinklage. It was a good surprise. More importantly, though, each week gives us Stormbreaker. Without him, Thor doesn't have the weapon that nearly kills Thanos in Wakanda. One appearance and it changes the whole Infinity Saga, even though Thor didn't go for the head. That's the MCU's magic, pulling in an actor like Peter Dinklage for one performance and making it feel like he belongs among the most epic moments in the entire franchise. So those are my picks for the MCU's one-scene wonders, the small characters who somehow stole the spotlight, whether through gravitas, comedy, or just perfect timing. Which one is your favorite, and did I miss anything unforgettable? Like, I know there's probably a few more of these at least. Tweet me, drop me a comment, and let me know your personal one-scene wonder. I'd like you to go to our About section and click the link tree and follow me on your socials so you know when the next episodes are coming via our cool little promotions we're starting to make. And you'll also get to just see a little bit more of me. I mean, who wouldn't want that? I think that was the most cringy thing I've ever said, but I'm going to keep it in because it's honest. And honestly, in that link tree, you'll also see a link to our Patreon page. We post mini-sodes every Saturday, 6 a.m. Central. And I gotta say, our library of minisodes is building up, and I have so much fun every time I record one of them. It's completely worth it for a little morning binge while you're out on your walk or on your way to work. Until next time, I'm Eric Cicada, aka Mr. Honest, and this has been Marvel Maniac and MCU Aftershow. Until next time, Avengers, disassemble.